Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss the fifth and final film of this absolutely trash garbage film series After Everything. The final chapter, After Everything. Hour and a half long. Woo! We made it. We did it. Awful. Hardin and Tessa, it's a 2-year now gap. There's a lot of time that goes between because the very first film starts with Tessa moving into college, freshman year. And then that's where she meets Hardin. And then it's been many years. And then, of course, the ending is then they're married with children at the end celebrating Christmas. So many years pass between the 5 films. The premise of this is Tessa's not in the majority of this film. 3/4 of this film, beginning 3/4 of this film, she's not to do with this. It's Hardin's story. He's off to Portugal after he screws up in London yet again. And he's trying to make amends with his old friend Natalie. And Harrison Osterfeld is in this. And I didn't know that. And he's in a scene, he plays his character of James in flashbacks of before, meeting Tessa and stuff that happens of Hardin being an awful human. James is one of Hardin's friends prior to then Hardin going to the United States. And it's just Hardin, James, and then the other friend, Mark, I think they said. And I'm just listening and I'm seeing the little quirks and stuff. And I'm looking at the screen and I'm like, is that Harrison? Is that Harry? And I looked it up, of course, on my phone, and I was like, I knew it. I knew that it was Harrison. Harrison's awesome. Harry, you can do no wrong. So he's in 2 scenes of this film, and I'm like, damn it. He was in a great series on Netflix that only lasted 1 season called Irregulars? Something like that. Wonderful. Came out in 21. Wonderful. Did a great job. It was supernatural. It was wonderful. I want him to do more stuff. He's extremely talented. He deserves all the accolades. He should not be shafted with 2 minor scenes in another project. How dare they? Anyway. Aside from praising Harrison. The premise is Hardin goes to Portugal to make amends with this old friend Natalie, who he had relations with, filmed the relations, sent the video to friends who then posted it everywhere. So she then had the falling out. It was her fault, of course, and she lost her scholarship. She couldn't go to university. She lost her job. She was kicked out, something to that extent, right? Everything trickled down because of Hardin's stupidity. If she gave him permission to record them, she did not give him permission to post them, to send their stuff everywhere. So the premise of this going to Portugal to visit this girl in Lisbon is to make amends. But her friends, this other friend of hers, is very protective of her and, is mad that Hardin did this. And she never actually mentioned him by name, but he put the pieces together. And he's got a little Grogu tattoo on his chest. Laughed my ass off. Gorgeous tattoo. So it's just funny how Grogu is still allowed to be on the film. So I thought that was very interesting. But this new friend, this friend of Natalie's and then his friends start to beat the ever-living hell out of Hardin for being an absolute horrible alcoholic narcissist. And I cheered and I said, yes, beat him up. He does not deserve this happiness that he claims to be, that he's going for atonement. He's an awful human being, an awful, awful character. Beat him. Maybe he'll get some sense knocked into him if you beat him. Sometimes words can only go so far. Sometimes idiots need to be smacked in the face for a point to come across. We see that with various different aspects of different film series, different TV series. Sometimes fire meets fire. A negative times a negative equals a positive. That's basic math. Sometimes the words, using your words, right, can't get through someone's thick skull. So watching this individual being beaten for his awful, horrendous, disgusting, repugnant ways of life, hopefully it knocks some sense into that character. And then Hardin kept trying to make amends and then asking permission to then create a prequel book called Before with Natalie's permission. So it's an atonement, full cycle. I didn't get your permission to post the video. I would like your permission to write this book. And that's why Tessa was so mad at him in the fourth film. How dare you get this book published without my permission? Why would I want you to be writing something about me? Why would I want the world to be reading anything about me? Didn't ask the permission. So he's learning. He needs to ask permission. But that's what happens with these rich, spoiled brats. They think that they could just take whatever they want and there's no consequences. It's an awful film series because there's no learning in this film series, and I can't champion the idiocracy of these individuals, whether it be Tessa, whether it be Hardin. So for the fact that Hardin is trying to learn, fine, he's trying. But he keeps saying he's trying, and then he gets belligerently drunk, and then he does this, and then he does that. And I'm like, bro, are you actually trying? Maybe the last 10 minutes of the film when we're at Landon and Nora's wedding, which is pretty cool. Maybe that's the aspect of, okay, this character arc is finally happening. Why didn't the character arc finally happen in the second film? Why was it just constant, awful, disgusting, individual crap for the entirety of the series that we have to get an atonement aspect, an actual, I am sorry and trying to learn from my actions of being an awful human? Why did that happen in the last 10 minutes of the film series? That should have happened in the second film, not the fifth film. Dumb. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Are the books this dumb? Why was this 5 movies? I don't understand. I feel like I'm Billy Hargrove in Stranger Things, screaming up at the Mind Flayer. I don't understand. Right? With the big, because Dacre does that big mouth movement. I don't understand. Well, he's screaming up at the Mind Flayer before the Mind Flayer then takes over him, and Billy gets his minions going in the third glorious season. Oh, what a wonderful franchise. That's how you do story. That's how you do a story arc. That's how you do a redemption arc. Billy then trying to save Elle at the end. But that was the purpose. He's supposed to be that hated character who then eventually we get that redemption arc at the very end before the final moments. That's that lead up. That's that poetry. That's that beautifulness. But that's different. That's sci-fi stuff. That's sci-fi storytelling of leading up, boom. Because there's just a projection of going this way. And then he has that moment. And then he goes back to being that innocent Billy prior to being corrupted by his awful father. The premise of these films, these romance drama films of this After franchise, is that it has this continued up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down of, okay, I'm an awful human, I'm going to do good. I'm an awful human, I'm going to stop drinking. I'm an awful human, I'm going to do this. There's no consistency. At least with the Billy storytelling, it's just beautiful, blah, 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 blah. Right? In regards to being an awful human, but then eventually he has that redemption arc. At the very end, which then triggers the after effects of season 4 for Max. Gorgeous storytelling. You could tell, obviously, the difference between the Netflix writers on Stranger Things and the Netflix writers on After. I have confessed and admitted when reading the Stranger Things books, one of the writers wrote one of the books. I don't remember which book it was, but the plot was wrong. The timeline was wrong. And I ranted and raved. How are you a writer on the TV series and you can't even write the plot correctly? So I have problems with idiots. I've noticed this. I have problems with inconsistencies. I have problems with lack of logic. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why it annoys me so much. It annoys me. And it shouldn't, because everyone is allowed to be as dumb or as smart as they can be. So why is it that someone's idiocy annoys the hell out of me? I think it's because someone's idiocy is allowed to be published and they can make money off of it. I think it's someone's idiocy is allowed to be filmed and they can make money off of it. I think a lot of someone's idiocy is allowed to be documented, shared, celebrated, accoladed, and they can make money off of it. I don't understand that. Why does stupidity equate to money? I don't get it. A lot of things I don't understand, especially this film series. This is an awful film series. It's the worst film series I've ever seen, and that's saying something. I've watched a crap ton of things. I think we have over 2,000 reviews in the docket on this particular YouTube channel. I've never seen anything worse than this in a film series. I've seen worse films by themselves, individual films, but this is the worst film series. Awful. Garbage. Trash. Dumpster fire of a franchise. After everything, on to the next review. Mahalo.